A dose of music news. Child abuse is one of the top stories in the world this week in the U.S. because of the horrific allegations and federal child sex trafficking charges against billionaire Jeffrey Epstein, and here in Israel because of recent videos and criminal charges related to daycare abuse. Popular Israeli singer INBAL PAZ herself was the victim of child abuse. She is turning her powerful story into a new song, transforming victimhood and suffering into strength and empowerment. Here's a clip from INBAL's new song, The Other End.
I was so young then, you took away a piece that was not given to you. I was so young then, and you took away a piece that was not given to you.
And INBAL's with me now in studio. As I mentioned, child abuse, physical, sexual, emotional, it's in the news. A top story in Israel because of these horrific videos from daycare, in the U.S. because of the Jeffrey Epstein, this billionaire sex trafficker, allegedly who sex trafficked dozens of minor kids. And you came out with this new song, this new poem about your journey. Explain, I guess, what happened when you were a child and the journey that you took.
So my dad was in the military, so we flew over for 4 years to the United States. And there was this neighbor in our neighborhood. We would play along with him, me and my brothers. And I think for a while, I don't know if the word groomed is appropriate, but you know, he played with me and my brothers in the backyard a lot and made me feel very comfortable. And I remember one day he asked me to come into his house. This is very emotional. And I was very scared. He tried several things with me, and at the end, I somehow managed to run away. I was 10.
And this was a man that you had come to trust as a family friend over a period of months.
Yeah.
That kind of trauma, how does that affect you not only as a child, that you went through that in his house, how does it affect you growing up, I mean, into your adulthood?
It affected everything. It affected my womanhood, my sexuality, even the way I dealt with pain, because I was very scared to come forward and tell my parents about it, because he was also disabled. I didn't say that, but he was also disabled. So when I didn't want to come out to the yard to play, my mom would ask, you know, why? He's like, why would you do that? He's like not well. So I didn't feel comfortable to come forth and talk about it. And so even like not telling the truth made me not deal with things. So I would smile through pain, like I say in the song.
Yeah, and I mean, so many victims of abuse, they internalize it, they don't want to speak, or they're unable to speak about it. Tell me, I guess, the inspiration for the song, for coming out publicly with the story.
So I mean, I never intended to write about this subject, but sitting at the piano, I started to write something, and the first sentence came out. I was so young then. And I stopped, and I was like, no, I'm going to change the direction of the song. And, you know, I tried different, I tried to try a different way about it, and then I just couldn't. So I just let everything come out. And the song is actually the story of what had happened and how I didn't talk about it and how I want to say and come out with the truth now.
I guess people who listen to the song or watch the video and they see the cards that you're holding in that music video, what do you hope that people who have similar stories of abuse, what do you want them to feel? Or what's your message to them when they listen to your music?
I want them to know that it's okay to speak up and it's okay to tell your story, and shame has a lot to do with it. People are very ashamed. You know, I was ashamed as a child, thinking I did something wrong or I made him want to do something to me. And what I really want people to know is that there is no shame and people should speak up. And if something did happen, talk about it.
Very powerful lyrics to the song and a gorgeous music video that captures just the raw emotion. I want to ask about, you mentioned the term grooming, and especially in the U.S. now with this Jeffrey Epstein case, a lot of people wonder, well, why didn't some of these victims come forward immediately after the erotic massages or the sexual abuse? A lot of them came from these alleged victims came from good backgrounds, good schools, good families. Talk about, I guess, the suffering, the dilemma, the mental dilemma about what to do after you go through an abuse, and it came out in your song, but what do you think about in the moments after that?
The moment after that happened?
Wondering who to speak to, if at all.
Well, I mean, if I could go back, I would tell my parents about what had happened, or I would tell a friend, or I would tell a teacher, I would tell someone. I can't go back, so what I know now is that I have a debt to the child that I was to speak up now and tell the truth. And what came out of it was that a lot of I'm also a vocal coach, so a lot of my students came forward to me saying, you know, this had happened, things that they didn't want to talk about. And, you know, it's amazing how something you say actually can make a difference.
Especially in students' lives. INBAL PAZ, thank you so much for sharing some of your journey with us and that song. Find more about it and links on your Facebook page. INBAL, thank you so much for being with us on the show.
Thank you so much.